The Chicago Cubs have started off the season on a pretty good note. A lot of things people weren't expecting, especially winning a series against who many think will win the NL Central in the Milwaukee Brewers. Cubs went 2-1 this past weekend, and we are very excited about it. Also, make sure to go watch our opening day video as Tony and I got on our crazy shenanigans with the Just Another Year crew, along with friends and family. But hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside my good friend and co-host Tony Cepeda. Wrigley was bumping, the bats were bumping, the chests were bumping, fists almost were bumping in other people's faces on the field, and not just at the bars. Baseball is back on the north side, and we could not be more excited. The Cubs won the weekend series against the Milwaukee Brewers, 2-1 split. They almost did the sweep. It was very close. There was a major error, in my opinion, by David Ross on that could have changed the trajectory of the game. But anyway, Tony, before we begin breaking everything down for the viewers of this series, which everyone should be excited about, what do you think of this team through 3 games?
Honestly, performing pretty well. Like, I don't think anyone can disagree on that. The bats are absolutely, like you said, they're bumping. They're hitting the cover off the ball. They absolutely are. You know, we'll talk about Seiya Suzuki. He looks great. And as we said in our preview, this team isn't bad by any means. They have players. They have, names, that's for sure. The one issue might be just, are they built for the long-term success? We'll see, I guess, as we go along. I don't know necessarily that they are, but you know what? It's fun to have good baseball. Even if
it is fun to have good baseball.
If it ends up being short-lived, it is what it is. Live in the moment. Enjoy the beautiful game of baseball that we have. So,
and also, I will say this about Wrigley is that it feels normal again. When we were down there on Thursday, and for anyone that's going to Wrigley in the next couple of weeks or over the summer, you have something to look very, very forward to. Like it felt like nothing. It felt like 2018 prior to 2018, 2019. It felt good to be back at the ballpark. People were having fun. People were making beer snakes. It was a great time. So, Tony, why don't you break down a little bit more about the weekend play of the Chicago Cubs against the Brewers?
Yeah, so obviously the opening series, leading off against the Brewers, it all got pushed back because of the lockout. So, honestly, I think that's pretty cool that you get to open against your hated rival, and now it backs nicely into, of course, the Bulls playing the Bucks. So that's kind of cool. And if this series is any indication, I think the Bulls are going on to the second round because the Cubs won this series 2-1. They, like you said, they arguably could have swept them. It was very as close as you get to a sweep. They are tied for first in the NL Central. We know it's only 3 games in. We're just this is our format.
Well, we could say they were in first this year.
Absolutely. This is our format for the season. Repetition. That's what baseball is all about. You get 600 at bats a season. And you know what? Yeah, right now, you tell your coworkers, you tell your friends, you tell your family, you're in first place. Tied for first place with the St. Louis Cardinals, both at 2-1. The Reds are 2-2 in third. Brewers and Pirates are tied for last. You can tell your coworkers that too at 1-2.
Yeah, the Brewers are as bad as the Pirates.
Yeah, that's
just putting that out there too.
Yep. And again, we understand a small sample size, but at the same time, trash talk doesn't adjust for sample size. Total runs scored by the Cubs this weekend was 16. They only allowed, well, I don't know if only is the right word, but they allowed 9 runs, which is actually that's a fine run differential that puts them kind of over in the top half of the league. But they had 22 total hits. Like I said, hitting the cover off the ball, 22 hits in 3 games. That ain't too shabby.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. The best pitcher overall, Justin Steele. I think I mentioned him on our preview podcast. That guy's going to be fun. Cubs fans, you're going to love him. So he went, 5 innings. He got the win. 4 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and 0 runs, which is the most important part, of course. Can't give up any runs. Best player, I think, we might have a riot in the comments if we don't give it to Seiya Suzuki. I've actually heard them pronounce it also as Seiya Suzuki, and I don't know which one is right. But
I think it is Seiya, but everyone, obviously, the way you would pronounce it, from our standpoint, I think it's Seiya. If you go to Japan, it's Seiya Suzuki, but like here, obviously a lot of announcers, and it'll get fixed itself over time. I know people call this out for it too, but a lot of people are saying Seiya Suzuki, and it goes really well with his nickname because, when he smacked his first home run,
yep.
See ya.
See you later. Yeah. So he had a great opening weekend, great debut in Major League Baseball, 8 at bats, 2 runs scored, 3 hits, 6 RBIs, 1 walk, 1 mammoth home run. I was watching that, and I had a couple games on, and I gasped. It was such a far hit home run. 375 average for the weekend. He lived up to the hype. That's the best way to describe it. So far, he has lived up to the hype. He's exciting. It's awesome to have him on the north side in the most beautiful city in the world. So, other than that, Nick, would you like to discuss this here, Nick?
I want to put this out here is that there was obviously on Saturday, there was a brawl or a close to brawl. It was a warm up to the beginning of the season. Like Tony said, if it's like this at all this season, the Brewers Cubs series, the rivalry's back. That it's fun again. The Cubs could have swept the Brewers, no doubt about it. If it wasn't for a late inning meltdown Sunday, that the Cubs almost came back and won the game. But when you start running out of time, you can't live in the moment. You got to start strategically doing things like Tony was saying. But overall, it was a good game. I think the Cubs would have done it. But on Saturday, Cubs were hit their 27th time in the last since 2020. That hit went against Ian Happ, who had to be taken out of the game, and he hasn't returned yet since. He was hit on the knee, and it looked intentional. Cubs have been hit 27 times since 2020. Again, putting that out there. The Cubs have hit the Brewers 26 times, though, since 2020. Brewers started this whole thing. I'm putting that out there with Anthony Rizzo, Wilson Contreras, all those guys, Javi Baez. These guys have been taking hits from the Brewers, and the Cubs are not afraid to give back. And David Ross was a player, not too long ago. So he understands, hey, like, you're not going to do that to my team. Like, this is still my team. I'm going to show that we're not going to we're not sinking to their level by, doing it first, but hey, you do it. It's baseball. You're going to give it back. So that fight ended up happening. Argument ended up happening. Yes. So I think actually this is a good way into our next topic, the overall reaction. Jason Hayward, I think, did a fantastic job, not just from a stat standpoint, but also from a leadership standpoint. So what happened is that the Cubs ended up hitting Andrew McCutchen, outfielder for the Milwaukee Brewers, after Happ was hit. Andrew McCutchen started talking to the pitcher and continued to talk to him. Wilson Contreras got involved, kind of started pushing people apart, saying, hey, like, let's not do this. Jason Hayward, full sprint from center field, comes flying in, starts chirping at Andrew McCutchen. Why you can't do this? You guys did it first, or not you guys did it first, but you guys better watch yourselves. Like, don't talk to my player like that. It's baseball. And then all of a sudden, the bullpen's clear, the bench is clear, everyone cleared. I really like what Jason Hayward did that day. And the Cubs ended up winning that game. But you can't not deny that was a big moment for Jason Hayward, because usually it'd be Rizzo doing that. It'd be Bryant, really just Rizzo doing that. And Hayward's like, hey, I'm the guy now to do that. So very happy with that. But again, the overall reaction is that the Cubs could have swept this Brewers team. Just want to put that out there. It was a late inning meltdown. David Ross, I think, pulled Stroman a little too early. He was only at 79 pitches. But if you look across the board, Hendricks, who was opening day pitcher, which I'll talk about him in a second, he had a 5.1 inning pitch. Steele had 5 innings pitch. Stroman had 5 innings pitch. So they all did really well too. Across the board, the entire starting rotation from this weekend series did very well. I think he was pulled too early, but if he wasn't pulled, potentially there's that, possibility of injury. But overall, it was a great series, great game. Cubs could have swept, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. We're on to the next one. We're 2-1, and we're still in first place. Seiya Suzuki, like Tony was saying, was on another level. This guy is human and can play in any weather. A lot of people were concerned that he could not play in the cold of Wrigley Field. And I mean, again, the stats: 8 at-bats, 2 runs, 3 hits, 6 RBIs, a walk, a home run, and a 375 average from a series. That's pretty awesome. And we need him to do that all season. So what I did was I took 162 games and divided them by 3, because that's the average length of a series. Either, some series are 2 games, some series are 4 games. The overall ended up being 3. If he were to continue this, Seiya Suzuki would have 432 at-bats, 108 runs, 162 hits, 324 RBIs, 216 walks, and 54 home runs. That's not going to happen. But
it'd be pretty cool if it did, though.
That'd be unbelievable if it did. He'd be the new Babe Ruth. But he'd be 99 overall in the show, no doubt about it. But overall, I think that, and there's 54 series in the season, 162 divided by 3. So I just took his first series stats and just times them by 54. I think that's very impressive. I think that Seiya Suzuki is off to a great start. I will not say that he is an all-star till he is an all-star, till we see it. But he's off to a good start. I don't want to start putting these expectations on him that he has to do great, because he is going to struggle. He is an international player. People are going to figure out his playing style, and then he's going to have to adjust to that. Or I could be totally wrong. He could have those stats. I'm putting the line out there right now, plus 10,000. Put $1 down at just another year Chicago. We'll make it work. But also something, Tony, that you and I talked about that I'm impressed with is how Hendricks came out of the funk of the Arizona spring training and did really well on the north side for opening day. We were at that game, 5.1 innings pitched, gave up 5 hits, 1 run, which was an earned run, 0 home runs, 3 walks with 7 strikeouts. And he had a 1.69 ERA. Nice. Tony said it best, though. I don't think spring training stats come into play. You pitch less, you're less consistent. Tony, I've already kind of hit on David Ross and these issue. The one issue I had with him and his managing choice of that day. What do you feel that Hendricks could have, or do you feel like this is the Hendricks that's going to stay all season? Or, it really was a fluke that he did that bad in Arizona.
Yeah, I truly think, my apologies, everyone, still recovering from that opening day. We were screaming our heads off, having a great time in the bleachers. I think he's back. He'll be okay. He's one of those rarer guys, I'll say, in sports where obviously he's the professor. Everyone, jokes about his demeanor and how he doesn't have facial expressions, whatever. That's because he comes in, he does his job. It's baseball. You're not going to have your best outing every single time, but with him, I'd say 90% of the time, 92% of the time, he's at least going to give you a quality start. And the other thing too, I'll say about David Ross pulling these guys and like that, like you said, you notice a trend, 5th inning. Obviously, I'm sure there's a couple different reasons for it, but if you kind of look around the league in general, these starting pitchers they're kind of topping out at 80 pitches in a start just for the first couple games because they got a late start with the lockout, and it's cold. I mean, that's the other thing too. They cold, just haven't warmed up to the season yet. They haven't warmed up to the season. That's all it is. So it'll keep going. So it's tough as a manager right now because you got to play the game of, okay, I don't want to burn out my bullpen, but I don't want to use Kyle Hendricks for 97 pitches in game 1 of the 162 game season plus. The way they're playing, potentially playoffs, maybe
playoffs.
I don't know, but yeah. So that's my opinion. That what we saw on opening day, I think, is what we're going to see from Kyle Hendricks. Definitely. I think I had one more comment for you. Marcus Stroman looked pretty good. He unfortunately gave up that 1 home run that kind of sparked the rally. He looked good though. That's going to be a guy that's going to be fun to watch this year. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Seiya Suzuki, we already hit on it. The hype is real. He's here. I may have claimed that I put out I questioned, I guess, if maybe he wouldn't perform as well in super cold weather. That was obviously kind of a backhanded, kind of a joke. What is it? Tongue in cheek is the word I'm looking for, just because people were joking about that on Twitter. Yeah, he'll be all right. So, Nick, what do you think? Get into the Cubs Pirates series coming up.
Let's jump into the Cubs Pirates series that starts tomorrow. We are recording on Monday, April 11th. But Tony, I know this series. It's the Pirates. Just break it down for the folks what the Cubs are walking into.
Yeah, so 3 free wins. I'll just start like that. So location, they're in Pittsburgh. The Pirates are 1-2 so far through 3 games. They're lucky to, I think, even have that one. Their previous opponent was the St. Louis Cardinals. They're actually still playing. They're playing a 4th game today on Monday when we're recording. I'm sure they will be 1-3 after. They have allowed 19 runs. So actually the opposite, because I think, the Cubs have scored 19. So the Pirates have allowed 19. They have scored only 11 runs. Their team batting average is 283. Their team on base percentage 336. Their team OPS 704. Their best player right now is looking like they got a couple of guys that are doing well. Michael Chavez, DH. His stats are 6 at bats, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 home run, 4 RBIs, 2 walks for a 500 average.
That will not last.
Obviously, a small sample size for sure. Diego Castillo is having a pretty good start. He's hitting 444 to start with a 1,000 OPS. Michael Chavez. Oh, Michael Chavez's OPS is 1.792. Pretty good. So it's the Pirates though. Come on, let's be honest.
They stink.
3 wins 3 wins, at least 2.
I hope so. I hope. I really hope that we win this one. We gotta. How cool would that be? Cubs go 5-1 in the first 6 games. That's all I gotta say.
If the Cubs are truly going for the playoffs and not trying to enter this rebuild, these are the kind of series that, in the past, like when you had Rizzo and Baez and all these guys, you look at this series, you say minimum 2 should be a sweep. I get it. It's early in the season. I think it can happen. This is a minimum 2 win series for the Cubs in my eyes.
And I'm not worried about the rotation. I think their starting rotation ERA after this weekend was like a 12. So, it's horrible. So I'm not worried about the Cubs Pirates at all. At least give me 2. At least give me 2 wins. I'll be happy with. I would be happy with 4-2 after the first 6, but I'd be much happier with 5-1. So yeah. Overall, I think the Cubs are in a good spot. It's a good start to the season. So we're hitting on the Cubs today on Monday, April 11th. They play tomorrow in Pittsburgh on April 12th. Tony and White Sox Jay will be going over the White Sox tomorrow on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that if you're a White Sox fan. But if you're a baseball fan, thanks for stopping by. We love talking about baseball. Get used to this because we're going to be talking about it a lot this year. But with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joining alongside my good friend and co-host Tony Cepeda, and we'll see you guys next time.